Hi guys, Evan from Atlantic Outboard here. Today I'm excited to do a digital delivery with you on this Pursuit S248. We're going to walk through the entire boat and all of its systems. That way you are familiar with everything on this boat. We're going to start at the back of the boat. Let's talk about the motor. The Pursuit S248 comes standard with a single 300 Yamaha in pearlescent white. It also comes standard with the electric steering engine option from Yamaha. So steering on this boat's super easy. You can do it with one finger. It's a really nice feature. Back to talking about the motor a little bit, you have a break-in period on the Yamaha. So for the first 10 hours of operation, you want to vary the throttle speed every 5 minutes, okay? After 10 hours, you can run it however you want. At 20 hours, you come in, do an oil change. When you change the power head oil, your gear oil, and your oil filter, okay? So that's there too on the Yamaha. Now, at the back of the boat, we also have these awesome hull extensions that you can see right here. And if you notice, they're a lot wider than the predecessor C238 that Pursuit had. So really nice enhancement on this boat, a lot wider here. We also have some storage right under here, which is nice. So great for a stern anchor, some lines, things like that. Also right here in front of the engine, the benefit to having the electric steering is you just have one rigging tube that comes from the boat into the motor, which I'll show you in a second. But you also have this nice lid right here. So when you're not need to have access in there, you close this, and you have this nice walkway that goes around the entire head. So really nice if you're hanging out at the sandbar or you're anchored. My personal favorite thing about it is that if you are cruising along, and especially up here in New England, this happens a lot. You're cruising along and you accidentally hit a lobster pot, and the lobster pot gets tangled up in the prop. The benefit to these hull extensions are you could stand right here with the motor tilted up and still reach it to cut the pot off your gear case. So a really nice feature there as well. One thing I forgot to mention that I want to bring up really quick is flushing the engine. It's strongly recommended that after every use in salt water, you flush the engine out with fresh water. So you could see right here on the port side of the engine, we have this black hose with a black cap on it, and it's got some water in it from us doing a flush. I'm going to open this up, and you'll see here we got this yellow O-ring. You got to leave that in there. We hook the hose at your dock up to this right here. The engine is off and tilted up when we do this. Tilt it up, do that, flush it out. You're going to run the hose for about 5 to 10 minutes, get all that salt water out of there, and then you're good to go. Here in the cockpit on the S248, we have a ton of space back here with a lot of great features. First thing I want to talk about is you have standard 4 rod holders that go across the back of the boat, which is really nice. An option that we sprung for this stock boat is this ski tow right here that pops out. You pull this tab right here, pushing this down a little bit, your ski tow pops up. So it's really solid, really rugged, and it's nice, easy to store away. It's always on board. You don't have to physically store it anywhere. Pull this tab back out, slides in, locks in like that. Super easy. Okay. We have our live well with a nice clear lid over here on the port side that opens up really well, which is nice. Another great feature that a lot of people love about Pursuits is their aft seat right here. So you'll see, I'm going to go like this, slide it up. And when I do that, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the back came up as well. So it has really great support. It's a really comfortable seat. My favorite feature about this boat, which a lot of manufacturers don't do, is when you shut this right here, you notice how the cushion goes on the inside of the boat. And back here is the front right here is a fiberglass lid. The benefit to that is if you're fishing, you're washing the boat, whatever, your cushion's not exposed all the time. Down here in the bilge on the Pursuit S248, let's walk through and see what's going on down here. We have our 2 batteries, one for our house, one for our engine right here. Another thing we have, I want to point out, is you see these black hoses with these shutoff valves right here. Those are for the in-deck fish boxes, okay? They're diaphragm pumps that pump overboard. There's a switch on the dash, so if you want them to both pump out or one pump out faster, you simply close this, hit the button, and the opposite side will pump out. Simple ball valve. We have our fuel filter right here. We have our live well pump right here as well. What's cool about this too is we have access to the top of the fuel tank right here. So say there was, God forbid there's an issue and you need to shut off fuel to the motor, you have this valve right here that will do that. Additionally, on top right there, you'll see we have our fuel sender as well. So super easy access to everything, nice and clean down there. As you see, everything's finished. Really great layout and design from Pursuit. The leading post on the S248 is best in class. The boat comes standard with the Yeti cooler. And what's cool about it, it has a sliding track where you pull this and the Yeti slides out all the way and also slide back in. Super easy, locks in right there. There's no shortage of storage on the S248. The engineers at Pursuit did a great job putting storage in every nook and cranny that they could. I love this slide out drawer right here, which is great for fishing. It's nice and deep, has little dividers in it. So if you want your sinkers on one side, your lures on the other, you could do that. Or if you're whining cheesing for the night, you can have, bottle openers or whatever you want. So a lot of great storage access on the S248. I mentioned that this boat has a lot of best-in-class features, and there's no shortage of those here in the Helm area as well. Super comfortable. A benefit to this seating here is you have dual seats. Okay, so what I like about it, though, is not to say you can fit 2 people here, but each person has their own bolster right here to sit and lean on, and they each have their own armrest, okay, which is huge. A lot of manufacturers share armrests, so if you want to have your arm down and your passenger doesn't, one of you guys is compromising, not on this boat. So that's a really impressive feature, I think, that they were able to squeeze in on this boat and still have a lot of room. Another thing I like is how this helm seat moves, okay, and adjusts. So it's in the all the way forward position now, which you'll see still has a lot of space for me. But I pull this tab back, slide it back, look how much more room there is. Let's talk about the helm for a second. Adjustable helm, obviously, which is standard on all Pursuits. We also have a ton of switches right here, and I'm going to run through those with you. Obviously, our horn button does the horn. Nav and anchor light. Nav is your red and green in the front. Anchor light is up on top. That's a 3-way switch. You have an accessory switch next to that. So if you ever added a spotlight or something else that needed a separate power source, you can run it there. Cockpit lights are the white LEDs that are along the bottom of the gunnel, right adjacent to the deck. So that's really nice for dawn or dusk. If you just need a little bit of light to light up the deck, but it's not going to blind you, that's a really nice feature. You have hard top lights after that. You have 2 right here. They are tricolor. They're red, white, and blue. So you hit it once red, once blue, once white. Here's a pro tip for you, though. One day you're going to use the boat, and the lights are going to be out of sequence. This one's going to be red. That one's going to be white. If you hold this hard top switch for 5 seconds, it resets it, and then they will get back and sync and be the same color. Spreader light, it's another 3-way switch. So another nice thing about this model is it has a spreader light in the back of the T-top and in the front. So again, if you're fishing at night or in the morning and you just need some extra light, those LEDs are really bright. This stock boat's not equipped with it, but underwater lights are an option, and there's a separate switch right here for it as well. Another option that this boat has is mid-level lighting. You hit that button right there, and there's blue LEDs up in the bow, which is really cool as well for ambiance, etc. We have our aft bilge switch, which is automatic. Okay, so it's hardwired to the battery, so even when the batteries are off, the bilge pump will still work, which is really important. This boat has a freshwater system on it as well, which is 20 gallons. Freshwater's right there, so you have a freshwater shower in the back of the boat. You also have one for the head system. That's how that works right there. You'll see another switch after that for washdown. That's your raw water washdown. You're going to use that if you're fishing, you get fish blood on the boat, and you want to rinse that off without wasting all of your fresh water, which is nice. Fish box is also next to that. Like I said earlier, you have 2 fish boxes that have diaphragm pumps that pump it overboard. Here's the rocker switch for that. Live well, obviously that's going to turn on the live well for you. The rest of the dash here, we have our Yamaha CL5 gauge right here. So that's going to give us all of our engine data. So our RPM, fuel flow, fuel economy, hours, etc. all right here as well, which is really nice. We have our JL audio sound system, which is on board here. Really great system. JL audio is what Pursuit uses for their sound systems, and they're definitely the best. So that's a really nice thing that we have for them. We have our Yamaha Hellmaster control box right here. Obviously, it's fly-by-wire, super easy, right? Forward, neutral, reverse. Trim level is right here. Pretty standard stuff there. But what's cool about this is it has the fob system instead of a key. So you have push button start. You have a power button, which is like turning the key in the on position, gives power to the motor, and then you have a start and stop button right there, which physically turns the motor on or off. Our lander goes right here. Another thing I want to point out is there's a new law, relatively new in the last couple of years, that I think it's boats under 26 feet, the operator must wear a lanyard. So on this boat, you're required by the Coast Guard to wear your lanyard. So keep that in mind. One other thing down here, which is a standard thing from Pursuit, is trim tabs. The benefit to these Lencos is that they have the indicator lights on the side, so you always know where your trim tabs are at. Cool thing about it is when you shut the motors off, the trim tabs automatically go up. Okay, so whether you dock for lunch, you go back out, you never have to worry about it. They're all going to automatically set back up in the upright position. Up here, one-piece windshield with the glass side, so really nice. You're not always getting wind in the face. We have our Ritchie compass right here, and we also have this little cubby right here for your phone with a little lip on it, your phone or your wallet. So it's just a really nice spot for that. This whole dash can tilt out. There's 2 screws. Whole thing tilts out back here, so if you need access to the back of the dashboard, you have that as well. And last but not least, we have a nice footrest right here. So if you're looking to cruise while you're sitting, you have your footrest right here, which is really nice. I mentioned earlier how this boat has great storage, and the engineers at Pursuit put it in every nook and cranny they could. No exception here on the port and starboard side. This door opens up and you have a deep storage space, which is great for a small fender, your lines, whatever. So like I mentioned, storage, as most of our boaters know, is you can never have enough. So a lot of these little nooks and crannies are really a nice enhancement from Pursuit. We have a nice seat, double wide seat right here with armrests, which is a really nice feature. The benefit to this is it opens up like that. Look how deep that opens up, right? And you can see you walk down, step down in here, and you have some pretty good headroom, okay? So we have our flushing toilet system here, toilet paper holder. So here's our main breaker panel and our battery switch, which I want to talk to you a little bit about. We're going to walk through the entire thing. First, right here is your main breaker for your helm, okay? So this is going to bring power to your helm area. So with the batteries, even if the batteries are on and this breaker's off, nothing's going to work up there. So first thing you're going to do when you get on the boat is you're going to turn the batteries on. Just like that, one click, okay? Now, what's cool about this is the boat has a parallel switch built into the battery system. So say you got down and your batteries were a little low, not enough to start the motor, you can go one click down like that and see, gonna parallel the batteries, combine them all, join them together. So hopefully it's enough juice to get your motor started, okay? We're gonna put it back to the on position. Now, like I mentioned before, we have our helm main right here, which is gonna power up all your switches and everything on the main helm. And then we have our electronics main, obviously, does all your electronics. So when you're not using the boat, if you have the battery switch off, theoretically, you could have these off. One of the reasons that Pursuit puts this in here is because transducers can't be out of the water and on at the same time. So say your boat's in for service or you have a boat on a lift, okay, and you have to have your batteries on and it's not in the water. We have this electronics main here, so you could shut that off so your GPS and your fish finder won't turn on and damage your transducer. Okay, so that's a really nice thing that they offer there. Right here is our windlass. Okay, and you can see you have 2 positions, on, which is down, off, which is, left to right. When you're not using the windlass, we strongly recommend leaving it off. That way you can't accidentally deploy it and create an issue as you're cruising along on your boat. Okay, so when you're not using the windlass, shut it off. We have some other breakers here. We have electric head, which is what I'm sitting on right now. Okay, so that gives you power to your electric head. Your head macerator, obviously we all know what a macerator is, it pumps it overboard. And then we have our cockpit amp, which is our stereo. Okay, so if you're going to use any of those things, you have them on. And then right here, we have push breakers right here. They're not flip breakers like these, push breakers. So if something ever didn't work, the first thing you want to come down here is check and see if the breakers pop. So say you get down to the boat and your trim tabs aren't working. Okay, they're not powering up on the dash. You don't know what's wrong. The first thing you want to do is come down here, look, try and find trim tabs. Second one in, you push it in. And now if the breaker was popped, you would feel it. You wouldn't physically see it, but you would feel it. Okay, so if something ever doesn't work on the boat, first thing you want to do is check the breaker. All right. Now, behind me here, we have some great storage as well. Okay, great for whatever things you want to store. And then we also have a little bit of storage right here. This is a piece for our GL audio, but you could store stuff around it. The reason they have this down here out of the way is to not have interference with the electronics. So we have our control right here to flush the head system. There's 4 buttons on it. There's the water saver, which is a normal flush that uses a little less water. You have the water fill only. So if you want to use the head and just, after you flush, you want to fill it up with water, you can have that. You have the normal flush, which, like I said, mentioned earlier, similar to the water saver flush, which just uses a normal amount of water. And then you have empty only. So I would probably recommend empty only if the boat's going to sit here for a while and you're not going to use it. So if you're out for the weekend, everything's great, you have an awesome time, and you're done using the head, and you're not going to be on the boat for a week, I'd recommend leaving it empty. That way you don't have that stagnant water sitting in there. It is a freshwater head, so it's you shouldn't have an odor problem like you would with a saltwater head, but still, it's probably not a bad idea to leave it water out of it. We have the optional porthole window right here as well, which is nice for just to get for a vent. We have a fire extinguisher, which is comes standard with the Pursuits. That's mounts on the door right there, which is really nice as well. Working our way up into the bow area, a couple things I want to point out. We have a ton of storage in the deck right here, which is really nice. This lockable storage has a T-hatch that opens it up. Look how deep that is, guys. You can fit a ton of good stuff in there. So a really nice thing to have on here as well. One thing I want to point out is the gutter drain system. A lot of manufacturers don't do this because it's hard to engineer, it's expensive to engineer. But you see these drains right here that are in the gutter systems of the lid? Those drains go overboard. A lot of manufacturers don't have that. The water goes right into there, goes in the bilge. So if it rains, no water gets in the bilge on this boat if it rains. Every deck lid has a gutter system. The drains in the back go overboard. So it's a really safe boat to have. You never have to worry about having a rainstorm and having the boat take on some water. We have two large storage areas right here with cushions on there. This opens up like so. You could see nice and deep. These are insulated. Again, they drain overboard. We have the gas assist shocks and the gaskets right here. So that's a dry storage when you need it. We have the storage cubbies too right here on the port and starboard side. On the port side, that storage cubby has a 12-volt plug on it, which is really cool. So for your phone charging, if you're using a spotlight, anything like that, it's really nice. Now, these backrests right here are some of my favorite things on the Pursuit lineup. You can see that was easy to come out right there. I could lead up like this. Last but not least, let's check out the bow area windlass on this Pursuit S248. So you can see this big latch opens up and we have a ton of good stuff under here. We have a bow boarding ladder, which is an option, which is an awesome feature that the Pursuit team engineered into this boat. Has a 4-step derelict ladder that folds out. Really great for nosing up on a beach, getting people on and off. It's a really awesome feature. We have our windlass right here, again, which is an option that's really important to have, in my opinion. A couple things I want to point out on the windlass. When the windlass goes out and you snag bottom and the boat's holding, you let a little bit of slack out and you tie it off to this cleat right here, okay? The windlass motor is not meant to hold the boat in place. The windlass motor is strictly meant to get the anchor up and down. That's it. So once you're anchored and you're secure, let a foot or two of slack out, tie it off to this cleat right here, and you'll be in good shape, okay? Another thing I want to point out is this safety chain right here. Comes standard on the boat. You always want to have this clipped to your windlass, okay? If you ever accidentally deploy it when you don't mean to, this chain would hold the windlass in place and keep you safe. We have a windlass remote plugs in right here. So you can control the windlass from up here. We also have a freshwater hose hookup right here. So if you are anchoring, you get mud on it, or you just want to rinse the salt off it, you plug in your hose and you can rinse everything off right here, which is nice. One other thing I want to point out is in your head compartment, obviously you saw we had our marine toilet. When you flush that toilet, that goes into a holding tank. Your pump out for your waste is right here. It clearly labeled waste. That's where you get it pumped out when that time comes. Thanks again for watching our digital delivery on our Pursuit S248. I'm Evan from Atlantic Outboard. Don't forget to check us out online at AtlanticOutboard.com and hit that subscribe button today.